Here we go.
You know how I like to start our Halloween videos like this?
Yes, I do.
And we're talking Halloween Ends?
Yes.
Or Halloween Ends 2022 as it's being called. So,
yeah.
So I feel like the theme would be good for maybe 5 or 10 minutes before we start talking.
No, we're going to start talking. We're going to start the video now. We're going to start the discussion now.
Okay, I understand. Guys, what about a copycat killer to carry on after Halloween Ends?
Uh-huh.
I've got a few theories.
I'll bet you do.
Let me go back in time a little bit. You guys remember Friday the 13th? Part 4 was the final chapter. By the way, if you're like young and you never saw Friday the 13th, just go watch Friday the 13th.
Go see it.
Just go through all of them because they're really fun. But the fourth one was the final chapter, and I believe at the time, although I don't know, I was too young for this, but I think at the time the media really was saying like this is for really is it, like this is 4 movies, that's fucking plenty. Back then, you didn't really get a part 4 of much at all.
Yeah.
So that might have been the first part 4. I don't know. So anyway, Friday the 13th. They did the part 4, they ended it, and then part 5 was called A New Beginning. And spoiler warnings here, but in The New Beginning, you had a Jason copycat. And so in the end, it was revealed that this killer was not actually Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, like, that's kind of cool because it reinforced Jason's actual death in part 4. Do you know what I mean? It made it where, oh, wow, we really are going to do this without him. So the copycat was exactly like him. He had that same superpower of like teleportation.
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean? How Jason like could be way behind his victim and chasing after them. And then a minute later, he's in front of them.
Yeah.
And I never figured out, like, why aren't we pissed off as an audience about that? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that same, like the copycat had that same superpower, which I thought was ridiculous. And he was like the same size, like a stocky guy, and you know, he reacted in all the same ways. So there was really no real change. Like the reveal at the end of the movie that all along this was a copycat killer and Jason Voorhees is really dead is the way it's put. You know, big fucking deal because it's the same essential movie. However, what if after Halloween Ends, if the studio decides, look, we're not going to reboot. Rebooting is too risky. By the way, rebooting is really risky.
Yeah.
Because if you reboot and it doesn't do well, you don't really have a choice now. You can either hang in there like the DCEU and keep being like, we're going to keep doing movies. And it's like, well, people didn't want this. Or you have to reboot again. And if you do Halloween, like a reboot, and you retell the first film or you do it a little differently, and then that doesn't go well and people hate it, what can you do? Go, all right, we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
We're going to retell the first story, different Laurie Strode, different everybody. You can't do that either. And then you just get so far from the mythos. So every time you try to reboot, you really are taking a great big risk.
Yeah.
And I think, even though David Gordon Green has said that he'll be done with the project, but then they will reboot, I still keep thinking they're probably not going to want to actually truly reboot. I think they're going to want to do something that can still tie into this. Now, I know a couple of guys in the comments were saying, yeah, but then Michael will be like, 70 years old or something, and that seems silly. Yeah, people said that about Cobra Kai, too, about how you can't have John Kreese. He's going to be like 75 years old.
Yeah.
It's going beautifully over there. Yeah. The show is one of the biggest successes in the history of YouTube or Netflix.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, John Kreese is like, I think the actor's 75 now.
I think so, yeah.
It doesn't matter to the story, does it?
No. And Martin Coof is amazing.
Yeah, you kind of get past it when it's sold to you right. And I think in this case, they just sell it right. They just find a way to carry on if they were going to keep using Michael, is my point. Now, but again, I'm coming back to the copycat theory. So what if they just, what if they just went with the copycat? Yeah. Is that crazy? Like,
no, but that crossed my mind, and I'm not even like, I can't even keep all of the Halloween films all straight. You can do that, which is amazing. But no, that even occurred to me. Like, it's called Halloween Ends. I don't think that it's actually going to end, but I think that it's possible that Michael's story ends and something new begins. And that could be with a copycat.
Well, here's the thing. This franchise really learned with Halloween 3 that you don't take out Michael and still call it Halloween. That somehow, as an audience, we're like, without Michael, it's not Halloween. Go fuck yourself. That's our attitude, collectively, since the 80s. But I think now, look, there's a way to do everything. That's the thing. There's always a way to make something convincing, even though on paper it sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think they could totally do that if they want to have Michael die in this and then spin. Just think about the media spin in the trailer. What if they spin the next film to be like, is it really Michael Myers? Like, who is this? And you show a bunch of footage of cops being like, it's a fucking copycat killer. We got a Michael Myers copycat. And then you go to the theater not sure if you're getting the real Michael or a fake Michael or what's going on. I think if spun right, that's interesting. I think that could really work.
Yeah.
But you got to tap into our creativity and that you got to get our curiosity too to make us really want to know, to make us not just not carry their weight. We have to actually want to get to the bottom of, is Michael Myers still alive? Is this him? Is it not? I think that could work really well. And I've always thought it'd be, I'll tell you this, I thought long ago, why do horror movies only have one main killer? Why is it always...
Ooh.
I remember thinking, like, wouldn't it be cool if you had a horror movie with two killers?
Yeah.
And then they put out Freddy versus Jason, and you got exactly that. They both they both are murderers in that movie. And I remember just thinking, all right, well, that's so much for me having this unique idea. But I think it'd be very interesting if someone else came to Haddonfield thinking Michael Myers was dead and took over as this copycat trying to be Michael Myers. The cops are onto him, but then in the end, we do get a real Michael Myers. Like, Michael is resurrected somehow. Assuming he dies in Halloween Ends, and I would think he's gonna. So that's a thought. This whole copycat theory, to me, seems like it could breathe some new life into the franchise if they're going to keep the franchise going after this fourth entry of this timeline. Yeah. You know? I mean, if they want to keep the timeline going, you know, even though it's called Halloween Ends, if they want to keep the fucking timeline going, I honestly think they need a hook, right? And either the hook is going to be like if Allison is the survivor, that maybe there's a spin on her and they make that interesting. Or if the hook is going to be that they go back into like telling Michael's history and getting into the mystery of Michael. No, it sounds like Halloween Ends is going to put the kibosh on that. It sounds like Halloween Ends is going to dive into that and confront that. So the only other thing left that I could think of would be a copycat killer and make him very Michael-esque. And then maybe you do spin Michael back into it against him. So I don't know, guys. Let us know in the comments. What do you think, Voice of Reason? Does this make any sense?
It does, yeah. I mean, it's plausible. Crazier things have happened.
You need something at this point. Yeah. It would shock me. The more I think about it, the more I think that their fear is going to be like, we can't reboot because unless we nail it and people love it. Because like with Rob Zombie's reboot, they thought, I remember at the time that I think it was Dimension Films had it. They thought they had gold on their hands. They thought, oh, this is going to be great. We're thinking beautifully here. We got Rob Zombie. He's beloved in music and heavy metal, and you know, he's got some horror background. So they thought this was going to be a home run. And instead, most of us left the theater and went, yeah, okay, not my Halloween. Not really the way I want to see this. Yeah. And then they had to hang in. He didn't even want to do a second one. They had to hang in there to get him to do a second one, which nobody wanted, even him. Yeah. I mean, nobody. It was just a fucking mess. Like, I think those movies have validity too. I don't hate them. But they weren't carrying the torch of the Halloween franchise very well. It was a lot like when a band changes singers. Yeah. And you love the first singer, and then the new guy, you go, okay. You go, okay, and you pay the $20, you go to the concert, but it's really not quite what you had in mind. And that was what happened with the previous reboot with Rob Zombie. I think they know there's a good chance at Blumhouse that could happen with a new reboot. But look at horror movie reboots. Friday the 13th reboot did not do well. People, it didn't really work. And then Nightmare on Elm Street's reboot. Also, I really liked it, but most people did not. Most people just said it just paled in comparison to the original. So when you look at trying to reboot the main horror film franchises, so far it has not worked out. Yeah. So I think Blumhouse is going to be a little bit afraid of that. And maybe, just maybe, this copycat killer idea could do it. Anyway, guys, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe, click the bell, all that other shit. Most importantly, though, the comment section is where it all is. We've got the most creative fucking comments ever. All kinds of ideas fucking going on in there. Like Blackest Eyes was talking about how we should have a Michael prequel movie, which I thought was really cool. A couple of guys had a bunch of ideas for sequels. It's awesome. So let us know what your ideas are, guys. Let us know your thoughts. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another great video.
Thanks and goodbye.
Thanks for supporting the channel. We'll see you.